Keiro is about honoring our elders. It's a community activity that we carry out here in the Japanese American community in San Jose every year. An important connection, though, especially through oral histories, that makes Keiro even more meaningful is that younger people, for them to really understand what the seniors did for them, to be able to really appreciate their sacrifices, to be able to really comprehend why we should have so much gratitude for elders, you have to know their stories and you have to make a personal connection with them.
There's a lot of research in academia that shows that children are much more responsive to learning about history when it's told from a first-person point of view. When people are talking about, this is where I lived with my family, this is what we were doing. For example, we heard about Pearl Harbor, this is how my family reacted. When we heard about internment, this is how we had to pack up, how we moved, what living conditions were like in the camps. There's a lot of research that say children find that much, not only interesting, but they find it absolutely fascinating.
The benefit of the oral histories basically is to help students, researchers, and family members to know a little bit more about what preceded in terms of their history. Karen Korematsu, the daughter of Fred Korematsu, the renowned resistor, came to some of the workshops and she shared some stories about her father. And I was just shocked, and so was the whole audience, to learn that the Korematsu family didn't talk about it. Karen was in a history class in high school. I think she said she was a junior. And the teacher mentioned the Korematsu case. And Karen said, "That's my name." So she went home and started asking her mother, and that's when the story started to unfold.
When they can find stories from their parents, their grandparents, relatives, people they know in their community, this whole history comes alive. But not only does it come alive, they suddenly feel like they have something to offer to other students, to professors, to the community that maybe nobody else knows. And so this has a really empowering effect on them, and it is very transformative.
So as time passes, and unfortunately we're losing our primary sources. And so I thought it was important for us to capture these stories now while we still can. And so right now, here we are at Keiro, and so the idea will be to have people kind of freely share what they'd like to share about their experiences. And then as we get closer to the 75th anniversary of Executive Order 9066, we want to ask people a question that relates to that time and how they felt. And the idea is to get a lot of different people to come to the museum and participate in these oral histories.
If we have people who are still alive who went through internment, let's record their stories, and current generations and future generations will have a good record of what happened, and they can relate to these stories. And it helps people remember that these things can happen again if we're not careful.
So don't be shy. If you make a mistake like I have throughout this whole recording, it's okay, because we'll post-produce this and we'll make it streamlined. So you'll sound just like an anchor person on the news.
Then there was a crucial question, questions 27, 28. The same questions were given to both parents, the exact same questions. Question 27 is, will you join the military? In my mother's case, it was in the Women's Corps. That I do remember. The same question went to my father, too.
The no voice says, no, we're not going to answer any questions. You have no right to. We're American citizens, and you have no right to put us into these camps.
Because my mother had my little brother and myself, she wasn't in no way going to serve in the military. So she said no. Now, question 28, will you be 100% loyal to the U.S.? And my mother put no. So she had 2 no's already. And so we had, these different answers, and you had to have all yes, you had to answer yes to both questions. So what happened was we were declared, in quotes, unloyal citizens of the U.S.
I think that the whole attitude towards Japanese Americans changed during World War II because the Japanese Americans had this special unit, the 442nd, and did a terrific job.
The average American soldiers that casualty in World War II was 7%. What happened to Japanese American soldiers? 23%, 3 times and plus, right? So they got the dirty job.
They were releasing some of us as long as we didn't come back to California. So I applied for permission to leave these camps and went to Chicago to work at the defense factory. And once we got to Chicago, everything was normal. There was no military activity or anything like that over there, and we had perfect freedom to do what we wanted.
Well, we just went back to, well, I was in school, so my sister and I, we went back to school. My father found a job. My mother was a housekeeper. So we just went back to our normal thing, and we didn't own our house, so when we came back, we had to find a rental house and moved in, and my father found a job, and so life went on, you know.
After the war ended, I think the Japanese Americans proved that they were loyal citizens, and then they petitioned to the government, you put us into these concentration camps, and we did all we can, and we didn't make any trouble. The Japanese American soldiers did a terrific job. And then the government owes us for imprisoning us during wartime. And so they applied to Congress, and Congress approved $20,000 per individual as a reparation. $20,000 sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but when you figure they took your life away, and so $20,000 for losing all that time during wartime would never cover it.
At that time, because I didn't study the history of our Japanese American experiences of the camp, because I didn't study about it, I didn't think really to think whether that was enough or not. But now, because I'm still, even at my age, I'm still a student, still learning. And now, of course, I realize now it was not enough, no.